What's going on, guys? Sean Nalawani, SeanNal.com, RealScienceAthletics.com, and in this video today, I want to talk about why, when it comes to building muscle, in a lot of ways, fast equals slow and slow equals fast. Now, I'll explain what that means in a second here. Before I dive into it, if you're new to the channel and you do find this advice helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below to stay in the loop on future videos, and also make sure to follow me over on Instagram as well. I post there every single day with additional training, nutrition, supplementation, and mindset advice that you'll definitely get a lot of value from. It's at Sean_Nalawani. That's where you'll find me when I'm not here on the YouTube channel. So, fast equals slow and slow equals fast. Basically what that means is that the more you're approaching your muscle building goals with a speed mindset, the more you're trying to rush things and force the muscle building process, the more likely you're going to be to make certain mistakes that actually slow down your rate of progress over the long term, or that even possibly throw you off track altogether. And I'll give you a few examples of this. One very common one is the issue of excessive calorie intake. You know, a lot of people out there just want to pack on overall mass as quickly as they possibly can, and they figure the more food they eat, the more gains they'll make. And so they're just force feeding themselves all day long without realizing that a large percentage of the calories they're eating aren't even being used for muscle growth and are just being stored as fat instead. Now, I've talked about this a million times before, but there's a limit on how many calories your body can actually use for building lean mass over any given time, which is usually somewhere around 200 to 300 calories above maintenance per day. And once you go beyond that point, the rest are basically just pointless calories that end up being stored as body fat. And when you put on an excessive amount of fat during a bulk, not only can that cause you to lose motivation and possibly fall off track altogether because you just end up really unhappy with how you look and feel, but it also increases the total amount of time during the year that you're going to need to spend cutting. And so you end up building muscle more slowly in the overall picture because there's less time left over for bulking. So that's one example of how fast can actually equal slow. Another example would be increased injury risk. So if you're being impatient in the gym, you're trying to add too much weight too quickly, you're ego lifting, and you're sacrificing form just to put more weight on the bar, trying to make those gains as quickly as possible, that's going to significantly increase your risk for injury, whether it's a shoulder, elbow, lower back, knee, or whatever else. And if you get injured, not only can that have potentially a permanent negative impact on your training if it's a more severe injury, but even if it's just something a bit more minor that you need to take time off from, that's another way that your progress ends up being slowed down overall. A third example would be just in terms of general motivation levels. So if you're expecting too much too soon in terms of muscle growth, if you have unrealistic expectations because you haven't been given the proper information in terms of realistic growth rates for a natural lifter, and maybe someone online promised you a certain result over a certain time frame and it isn't being met even though you're doing everything you were told to do, then that can easily lead to discouragement and cause you to possibly abandon the whole process pretty much right out of the gate. So these are just a few examples, but the bottom line here is that before you even get started in the gym, you have to accept the timeframes that are involved up front and the weekly and monthly rates of progress that should be expected, because building a significant amount of muscle isn't a game of days and weeks. It's more a game of months and years. Okay, the truth is that building an impressive physique doesn't actually take that long when you put it all into context against your life as a whole. And there are other life goals out there that take much more time to master than building muscle or losing fat do, but it still doesn't happen overnight either. If you're a complete beginner in the first year of training, then about 2 pounds of overall weight gain per month would be a standard rate of progress. I'd say 3 pounds at the most. And then from there, it'll slow down by about half for every year of proper training after that. And as a rough ballpark guideline, you can probably expect to achieve about 50% of your total genetic muscle building potential by the end of year 1, assuming you're on a proper program and you stay consistent, and then about 75% by the end of year 2, and about 85 to 90% by year 3. So after 3 solid years of training, you should be pretty close to your genetic potential, and then in the years that follow that, you can still make gradual progress, but it's going to come at a much slower rate. So in order to transform your physique in a significant way, depending on your definition of significant and what you're specifically aiming for, you're probably looking at somewhere between about 1 to 3 years, depending on your genetics and depending on what you consider to be an amount of muscle that you're happy with. And there are definitely outliers, of course. Some guys with really good genetics can make pretty significant gains, even within a period as short as like 4 to 6 months. But I'm just talking on average here for the typical natural lifter. So before you even get started, if this is something you're truly serious about, if you're committed to this for the long run and you want to build a strong, lean, muscular physique and maintain it for the rest of your life, then take a breath, slow down, and orient your mindset toward the bigger picture. Stop trying to hit huge home runs out of the park every single day and just aim for consistent singles week in and week out. Aim for gradual progression in the gym. You don't necessarily need to be adding weight to the bar every single week on every lift. Even one extra rep with the same weight is good progression, keeping your form nice and solid all the way through. Just write down your workouts and let those small little improvements add up over time. In the kitchen, just a moderate calorie surplus is all you need. 200 to 300 above maintenance. You don't need a ton of extra calories to maximize your lean gains. You don't need any more than about 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight daily. Just eat in that controlled surplus, and again, it will add up over time if you're patient and consistent. On the supplementation side, just a few basics will get the job done. Spending a ton of cash on all these different overhyped muscle builders and fat burners is not going to be necessary. Most supplements out there are not effective and they're not properly formulated to begin with. And you can check out realscienceathletics.com. The link is up here or down below for a few solid, high quality science-based supplements that I personally formulated that you can include in your plan to fully round out your results. And then again, on the mindset side of things, stop checking the mirror every 5 minutes expecting to see huge changes, because in reality, the physical changes between any 2 individual weeks probably won't even be visibly noticeable. Okay, it takes a few weeks or even a few months to really see clear, significant changes. But if you keep those timeframes in mind that I mentioned before, in terms of what's realistic from week to week, month to month, and year to year, that'll help to keep you grounded, and it will let you know that you're on the right track, even if it does mean only half a pound per week or 2 pounds per month or 4 pounds in 2 months or whatever else. So bottom line, guys, stop trying to rush things, stop trying to force it. Take your time and focus on quality training and quality nutrition, because in the overall big picture, that is actually the fastest way to get to your end goal. If you found this advice helpful and you're truly serious about achieving your physique goals, you're ready to commit to this for the long term, and you want to learn exactly how to structure your workout, nutrition, and supplementation plan for the very best results, then make sure to take my physique quiz over at quiz.seannell.com, because that'll get you started on the proper step-by-step program that you need based on your specific goals, body type, and experience level. You can also get more daily tips and updates from me by following me over on Instagram. Again, it's at Sean_Nalawani. And don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe below if you haven't already in order to stay up to date on future videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.